Okay. Does everyone see my screen? The
Yes.
Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the November Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee meeting. We've been doing this, unfortunately, for a while now. I don't think I need to go through the virtual meeting guidelines, but if you could just remember to mute your microphone if you're not speaking, just so we can avoid any background noise or anything while people are presenting. We would really appreciate it. You don't need to use your camera if you don't like, but we would also love to see you. So if you want to use your camera, be sure to turn it on. As you probably all know, CDTC is still not having in-person meetings or events. We do have some minimal, we have alternating shifts in the office. We are maintaining a COVID resource page on our website, which includes an open streets resource. So the first item in our agenda today is a presentation from the Hoosick Hillside Linkage Study Consultant Team in the city of Troy. So I'm going to pass this off to Jesse Vogel from Creighton Manning and Mark Sargent so that they can talk about this ongoing project. Okay, so Jesse, you should be the host now.
Yep, should be all set. Can everyone see our screen here?
Yes.
Great. So yeah, happy to be here presenting the Hoosick Hillside study to the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee. I want to thank the city for giving us this opportunity, as well as CDTC. We'll start by orienting everyone with the study area. You can see in the blue outline with north oriented to the left side of the screen. This orange line represents Hoosick Street. Purple line being 8th Street and the yellow line being 15th Street, and some of the notable uses in the area, including Unity House, Oakwood Community Center, City Hall down at the bottom. And the study area was defined as 4 main focus areas, 1 being the Hoosick corridor itself, 2 being the area underneath the Collar City Bridge, 3 the Hillside North neighborhoods, and 4 the Hillside South neighborhoods. And importantly, the connections between these neighborhoods, as well as to River Street with the new River Corridor BRT, and then to downtown as well. And so the purpose and need for the study was to really improve quality of life for these neighborhoods by creating safe and convenient pedestrian and bicycle connections to those areas mentioned earlier, while minimizing the negative impacts of the traffic in the neighborhood and maintaining traffic operations on Hoosick Street, as we know is a busy corridor. The first round of public engagement identified several concerns. You can see them here on the screen. Speeds and cut-through traffic in the Hillside South neighborhood, sidewalk conditions overall, poor pedestrian accommodations at 6th Avenue, concerns with lighting, and then also concerns at the 10th Street intersection. And so that was kind of what fed into our plan that we developed with recommendations. And so you can see here on the screen, we have an overall plan with roughly 10 recommendations, and we'll go through those now. The first would be traffic calming on 15th Street. Looked at curb extensions. You can see there's a number of driveways on the street, but putting opposite curb extensions on the north end would create a gateway into the neighborhood. And then there's also an opportunities for curb extensions at the Hutton Street intersection to reduce that pedestrian crossing distance and calm traffic. Another recommendation was on Hoosick Street median. This was previously looked at in several other studies. And it's really done in response to crash concern. You can see higher than average bicycle and pedestrian crashes on the segment of Hoosick Street between 8th and 10th Street. And so we looked at 2 alternatives for the median. Alternative 1 would run a continuous median from 6th Avenue on the left all the way up to 10th Street. You can see it would provide a pedestrian crossing at 8th Street, which doesn't currently exist. It would also provide that connection down to 6th. And it would improve conditions for pedestrians walking along Hoosick Street at 9th Street by restricting left turns so that there's no longer that conflict. Second alternative is very similar, except there's a median break at 8th Street. Again, it would maintain that pedestrian crossing, but now the connections to 6th would be on the outside of the bridge. Again, you get those benefits for pedestrians walking along Hoosick Street. And so this would really connect the two neighborhoods by providing that crossing at 8th Street. Also adds pedestrian refuge islands at 10th Street as well. We did look at traffic analysis because there would be some diversions associated with the medians. You can see that overall during the AM and PM peak hours, intersections operate at level service B, C, with the 8th Street intersection operating at D during the PM peak hour. Under alternative 1, things are largely similar. You see slight improvement at the 8th Street intersection because we've restricted some of those turning movements so you can free up green time for the main line. It also improves the lane balance for people heading onto the bridge. So that's the results of the level of service analysis. Moving on to the third recommendation, we looked at a path connection to the Hudson River Commons Plaza, which you can see highlighted on the screen. These are some images that we took when we were out in the field on the right. There's a bit of an elevation change, and so that would need a staircase. You can see that from photo 1. Currently, it dumps you off into the back of that plaza as shown in photo 2, and so there could be a nice potential connection there that would reduce the amount of walking that residents of the Hillside South neighborhood would need to access these businesses. Another idea that came up with was a path connection to School 2, which was proposed by Tripp, has been studied. And so looking at it here, it would connect 8th Street to 10th Street in the area of the school. We did look at 2 potential types of paths. The keys being here that the path needs to provide clear space on either side so that it feels safe, also adequate lighting. And then potentially there could be the opportunity to include raised intersections where the path crosses the street. Which also ties into traffic calming on 9th Street that you can see here. We put together this traffic calming toolbox that has some measures that the city could choose to implement, including street trees, curb extensions, alternate side parking, and some raised elements. Ultimately on 9th Street, though, the biggest measure of traffic calming results from the median, which would reduce the cut-through traffic by eliminating that eastbound left turn off of Hoosick Street. Along with the median, there's the opportunity to convert 9th Street into 2-way traffic to maintain adequate access to the neighborhoods. That would also be a traffic calming measure. This number 6 is the pedestrian crossing at 8th Street that we had mentioned earlier. Really, this is a key connection between the Hillside North and South neighborhood, and so it deserves a bit more attention. You can see a zoomed in shot of it here, where under the first median alternative, which has the path connection to 6th, and you can see there's the crossing with the median refuge in the middle. Another thing that we heard was traffic calming on 8th Street. A lot of people have said that there's cut-through traffic in the neighborhoods from 8th Street onto Hutton. And so you can see that there. We did take a look. We have some curb extensions on 8th Street at Hoosick Street to narrow up that radius. Also at 8th Street and Hutton Street, formalizing the curb extension that's currently there. And then also adding some extensions on Eagle Street to just narrow up those pedestrian crossings and try and calm the traffic a bit. Another idea that was put forward by TAP was a gateway in the area of Riley Park, which you can see here in this rendering. It does include a raised crosswalk as well. Going on to recommendation 8, we looked at new connection in the area of Rensselaer Street to better connect the north neighborhood to River Street and the new BRT coming through. We looked at 2 alternatives. Alternative 1 was a complete street connection where there's the opportunity for pedestrian and vehicle connections and constructing of some houses and business on that area. You can see that here. The second alternative is a path connection similar to what was proposed at the Plaza with a staircase. This would have less of an impact to private property and still improve pedestrian connectivity. Again, though, due to the grade, we see that as needing a staircase. Recommendation 9 looks at 6th Avenue, and we heard that 6th Avenue really needs to be a complete street. Right now, it's not very inviting to pedestrians and bicyclists. And so starting at the north end, you can see here a proposal to remove this slip lane onto Route 7, add bicycle lanes on the west side inside of parking, and then with a buffer on the east side. Also removing the slip lane onto Hoosick Street at the 6th Avenue and Hoosick Street intersection. Then as we continue south of the Hoosick Street intersection, you could have a two-way cycle track with 5-foot bike lanes approximately on the east side of the road. And here's a potential cross-section for that, given the width of the road. You can maintain 12-foot drive lanes, provide a nice buffer, your cycle track buffer, and then also sidewalk. An alternative to this that we looked at was a reconfiguration of the ramp coming off of Route 7 onto 6th Avenue at Hutton Street with a signal, the red line being a potential pedestrian connection. This would require further study and have a bit more of an impact. The 10th recommendation is for Hoosick Street Path and Collar City Bridge Park underneath that bridge in that other focus area. You can see that there. And so this is an overall concept plan that has a lot going on. Key things to point out would be this path connection running up the center of Hoosick Street between River Street and 8th Street as shown here, while really activating the space on the sides underneath the bridge piers using active spaces such as basketball courts that are currently there, potential skate parks, and also creating a large field at the west end to really kind of cap everything off. Here would be some of the cross sections associated with the path. You can see west of 6th Avenue in the area underneath the bridge. You could have 8-foot sidewalks, on-street parking, some buffer with trees in the middle, and then your two-way path. And then east of 6th Avenue in that segment between 6th and 8th, the roadway is a bit narrower. And so you'd have driving lane buffer and a path as well. In addition to the area-specific recommendations, we have some general concepts, including upgrades to existing traffic signals, making sure that intersections currently provide sidewalks and curbs for ADA guidance, and then working with CDTA on transit demand improvements and pursuing travel demand management. Ultimately, we think that the plan accomplishes the goals of improving bicycle and pedestrian connections in the area to improve quality of life in these two neighborhoods. You can see here the Troy Bicycle Plan, and we performed a level traffic stress analysis on it. You can see the existing and the proposed for each of these roadway segments. And the ones that we have highlighted here are the segments included in the plan. And so this would bring the segments included in the plan from a level traffic stress 3, which is less friendly to cyclists, to level traffic stress 1, being more friendly to cyclists. And with that, I think we'll turn it over to questions.
Thanks, Jesse. Does anyone on right now have any questions about the recommendations?
Just one question. I know that Route 7, the College Street Bridge has been getting a lot of work on it various times, and that tended to back up traffic. Did that, were any of the times when that was in play affecting your traffic assessment?
No, so the traffic counts are based on some of the previous counts done there, where before the traffic was backing up, before the construction started. We did look at historic volumes to see growth trends, and that was all included as well.
Thank you.
I think one thing, which makes Troy interesting, but also kind of an obstacle for making connections and accessibility in Troy is like the topography and the need to do staircases. So I was wondering if there was any like discussion about how to, I know some of these issues are, there's no way of creating like a ramp all the way up something that's steep, but how accessibility was incorporated and discussed.
Yeah, that certainly did come up a lot during the course of this project. And I think with the topography, we try to address accessibility at the intersections, in terms of curb ramps, having those pedestrian connections and the infrastructure there. We do acknowledge that a staircase isn't necessarily going to be usable by everyone. And that particularly came into play with the Rensselaer Street connection, which is why I think the preferred alternative would be the complete street connection as the land becomes available, to make it more like a city street and to eliminate the need for that staircase.
One suggestion regarding the stairways, in Europe, they have a ramp along the very edge, about a 4-inch ramp up the side of the staircase, so you could roll your bike up when you want to get up to the Hudson Plaza, for example. And that design element could help move people on that safer route rather than trying to get out onto Hoosick Street.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is something that was brought up previously during the public workshop as well. So I think certainly that could be included in the design.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Jesse, Mark, and the city? Nope. Okay. Well, thank you both for taking time this morning to talk with us and present on this project. And we look forward to a final study and report.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yep. All right. So get back into the rest of the agenda. We don't have a lot. Oh, I'm sorry. I did miss. Okay, never mind. I forgot to mention that you could also type something into the chat if you didn't want to talk, but sorry about that. So the rest of the agenda is pretty brief, but moving forward, the CDTC, CDRPC Technical Assistance Program, again, still open. Please contact CDTC if you have a project idea or were interested in applying. Similarly, I believe the Complete Streets workshops, we're still accepting applications. The ADA Transition Plan Project, we're still accepting applications. Smart Communities solicitation that went out a couple months ago, because we did not receive a lot of interest, we have opened that up also to rolling acceptance. So again, this is related to integrating technology. And if you have any questions about types of projects that would be eligible or considered, please reach out and we can discuss and assist you with that. CDTC continues to move a number of linkage studies and other projects forward. In the handout that was sent out with the agenda, there is a table with the status of our ongoing linkage and other regional studies and the technical assistance program, the Albany Bicycle and Pedestrian Master Plan, again, moving forward, and hopefully we'll get a presentation from that consultant team in the next few months. The Bolston Spa Pedestrian and Bicycle Master Plan is getting ready to kick off. We just heard about the Hoosick Hillside study. The project in Manans is not quite started yet, and similarly, the Scotia Downtown Connections Plan. As you can see, there's a number of technical assistance program projects that we're working cooperatively with CDRPC on, and other initiatives like New Visions. We are in implementation mode right now, so moving forward with scheduling virtual trainings for town boards, city council, zoning boards, or any group that's interested. Also, we have launched our virtual learning series. The bus lane feasibility study that CDTC is working with CDTA on is also moving forward. Local bridge preservation report, a freight and land use study on Route 7 in Rotterdam and Princetown, continuing to coordinate with DOT on the evaluation of New York 378 bridge study, our ADA transition plans, and other projects. If you have a Capital Coexist mini grant, the time has come to wrap that up and submit your invoices and other paperwork. If you have any questions, please reach out and let me know. We will be releasing a new solicitation for new projects for the new year. So please stay tuned for that. Hopefully we'll be able to release that relatively soon. We should assume that for at least most of next year, we still won't be able to have large in-person events or meetings. So if you are thinking of a project, please think about it in the context of social distancing and COVID, so that we can fund projects that are safe and are still effective. So this hasn't been updated yet, but if you go to our New Visions webpage, again, you can find all of the New Visions study materials there, but also there is a drop-down menu on the New Visions learning series. The next New Visions webinar is scheduled for next Tuesday, the 17th at 3:30, and it will be on infrastructure, what infrastructure data CDTC has collected, how we use it, how we distribute it or release it to municipalities, and then how they're using it to do planning, apply for grants and other things. And then, how can CDTC, how can we move our New Visions principles and big ideas forward in the context of preserving infrastructure and updating it for the 21st century. So, Lindsay, I think Lindsay Garney is on. Lindsay, do you have anything you want to say about CDPHP cycle? I don't want to put you on the spot, but.
Hey, Jen. Yeah, Steve and myself are both here, actually. Just looking at the notes that you have up here. We, despite the COVID pandemic, we feel that we, with 3 weeks left in the season, we've won a very successful cycle season this year, our 4th season. We just went over 35,000 rides last week, and our operations team did a very good job of keeping our members safe and keeping the bikes clean. So it's, it's been great. We weren't sure how it was going to go, but I think that there was a good response to, the bikes coming back on the streets. So we're pleased with how it went.
Great. Thanks, Lindsay.
Sure.
All right. So I don't want to keep everyone too long because my house is a construction zone and I have a plumber here, so it's probably going to get loud very soon. But if you have any updates you'd like to share with the group, please do that now.
This is Meg O'Leary from Saratoga County Public Health. I just wanted to let everyone know that we're pursuing or continuing with our age-friendly Saratoga County certification project. And on November 17th, we're going to have a Zoom meeting about the transportation domain. So if anybody's interested in that, please feel free to contact me. I'll put my email address in the chat.
Thanks, Meg.
I have a question, Ms. Ivan. In the Times Union, there was a very brief paragraph, I think on Sunday, that said that Governor Cuomo was recommending $357 million road improvement program. Do you know anything about it, or?
I'm not familiar with it, but I can look into it.
Please do. I kind of assume that it refers to improving the state owned and operated roads, but it wasn't clear about that, and it wasn't clear whether it's current funds or proposed for the next budget cycle. And the question that we raise is, how will that be merged into the complete street concept as it moves along, if it moves along?
I'm guessing that it's they were probably referring to already programmed funds, but projects that maybe are being completed or started right now. So, but I'll look into that. And as always, our Complete Streets Advisory Committee does review DOT's paving project. So, but that's a very good.
It doesn't hurt to have a reminder.
Yep. No, I appreciate that, Ivan. Anyone else with updates? Two things that were not on the agenda, but are worth mentioning is CDTA's Blue Line, the BRT between Albany and Waterford, launched on Sunday. So if you see the blue buses and the new blue bus stops, that's what it is. It's the Bus Rapid Transit river corridor. So that is very exciting. Also, I don't know if anyone gets I think it was the Spotlight, or there's an Albany County newsletter or publication. I just saw briefly a photo of a piece about that an elementary school child wrote, actually, about crossing the road. So, and it was about, helping her be able to cross the road safely. If anyone comes across it electronically or has even like a photocopy of it and can send it to me, that would be great. I just thought it was really interesting, again, to see kind of the youth being outspoken and getting involved in these issues. So
Jen, I'll see if I can track that down for you.
Oh, thanks, Nate.
Yeah, Spotlight's a Bethlehem paper, so
it was a Spotlight. Okay.
Probably, yeah.
Cool. All right. So with that, our next meeting is December 8th at 9 a.m. and it will be via Zoom. So please stay tuned for the meeting notes and then the December agenda with the meeting link. And if no one has any questions or anything, I will hope everyone has a nice Thanksgiving and see you next month.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye,
Jen.
everyone. Stay